Welcome to Justice is a Process. I'm Steve, and I am the host and the creator and the main driver of Justice is a Process. And I wanted to come to you today because I wanted to make sure you're going to understand how to get the most out of this YouTube channel, because there is a method to the madness. I probably should have done this video a long time ago. And I've got the recipe right here to understand exactly how things are, how you can interpret what we're doing. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're finding this because this is your first visit, let me explain to you what Justice as a Process is and why that is an important statement. The name of this channel came from the man that you see in the circle there, my dad, Steve Askin the first, and he always used to tell, he was a very well-renowned defense attorney in the state of West Virginia, and many people, many times when we would be out or we would be talking to family, friends, whatever, everybody always asks, Steve, how in the world do you stomach? How did you do it? How do you represent these people that do these horrible things? And he would always say, justice is a process, not an outcome. Because they'd say, hey, you're going to get people off. He'd say, I'm never getting anyone off. That's never my point. The point is everybody is entitled to a fair justice process. Justice is a process. It's not an outcome. I'm not here to get somebody off. I'm here to make sure that each and every one of their rights are that they're able to take advantage of them, that they're able to be aware of them, and that their trip to the justice system is fair, and their due process rights are respected. And I'm here to guide them. I'm not in. Sometimes, yes, that process leads to somebody being acquitted that might have done the crime because of a mistake with the way evidence was collected or whatnot. There are times that people are innocent and they end up getting convicted. But his goal always was to ensure that his clients, whoever they may be, regardless of their ability to pay, and again, that was one of my dad's flaws, was he could never say no to people. So he at one point had many more cases. He was a solo practitioner. Where he would bring in young lawyers to teach them and mentor them, and then they would leave his firm and move on to their own practice. And that was the way he chose to do it. But he was at one point had over 700,000 or 700 open criminal cases at one time. And he just could not say no to people who were in need. He wasn't worried about fees, even though he would get paid something. But there was a lot of unique things that my dad did because he wanted to just help people. It's what he lived for. And the point of this channel is to continue that mission, because he has a quite interesting story. Because he was a lawyer for 24 years. The system came for him. You see it in the description. We're going to talk more about that story as Justice as a Process progresses, and I'm not putting a timeline on that. But this channel is to tell that story and also continue to help others as they watch the justice system to be able to watch and learn and understand how the justice process works, and to focus on the process of justice, not the outcome of justice, and to trust that if we have a fair process, the outcome takes care of itself. It's when unfairness enters on either side of the equation, whether that's the defense's side or the prosecution side. When unfairness enters, justice is subverted. But we take you through that, and that is what the whole point of this was. And when my dad and I sat down, he was still alive, and we had this idea because we were watching others do it. And so I said, listen, you're probably one of the greatest defense attorneys that people have never learned about because of your story, and your story is unbelievable. And when people found out about my dad's story, they came to him, and we had many opportunities, many people coming wanting to write a book, do documentaries, do movies, and we said no, because it was a story that, it's tough to trust how people are going to handle it. So he and I had come up and decided we were going to tell the story. And then demons from his past life converged, and one day that whole story will get told. But about, I guess it was about a little less than 4 months, a little more than 4 months after we launched the channel, my father passed away. And when I found out my dad was found deceased, I was actually live on on channel. Many viewers probably never knew the moment, and it wasn't we weren't being watched by as many people as we are today. But that moment was captured live when I got the phone call, and that day was a sad one. Anyways, the channel continued on, not in the way we had envisioned it, but it has metastasized to now the channel that it is today, and what I want to show you and go over with you so you can get the most out of it. So that's the introduction to the channel. Stick around, support us, watch us, because as my dad had another saying, and that was, justice always worked better when people watch. And his mother watched every one of his trials. He encouraged people to watch and come in. He encouraged students to come in, classes to come in. He loved the idea of people coming in and watching, because he understood that when people were watching, when the public was watching, when the press was reporting, when there was eyes on the courtroom, things happened differently. And today, with the way everything is, with cameras in the courtroom, live streams, and all of this, he was very, 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 very happy about that, because he felt like that was something that was going to bring attention and help the system and the process work better. So how can you watch? That's what we're here to talk about today. And these are the 5 different things you're going to get on this channel, and understanding these will help you get the most out of your experience with justice as a process and what we do here. When you come, you're going to notice that there is a organization to the channel, and that organization, it gives you a plethora of ways to experience the trials we cover. And also, you can choose to experience one type of one presentation, or you could use them all, and every single one is going to give you a different level of depth, analysis, and opportunity. And one other thing, my dad and I are both avid readers, and my dad always believed that while listening is great, reading is even better, which is another reason why we've designed, and why Justice as a Process has been designed the way it has. Because reading is something that helps. When you read and you watch and you put those two together, it's the most powerful thing that you can see. And my dad was also a college professor, and that was how he taught, was you had to read, you had to watch, and then you discuss. And that's kind of the format that we've tried to encompass here on the channel. So what should you be looking for? First of all, understand every trial that we have is going to be broadcast, is going to have a live trial broadcast. Now, what does a live trial broadcast mean? Some people, get confused sometimes when we're doing a live trial broadcast, and maybe the trial aired 2 months ago. The live trial broadcast is the opportunity for the community of Justice as a Process to come together, our Justice Watcher community, to come together and watch the trial and chat about the trial, and come into the live chat and watch a live courtroom broadcast. All of the warts, all of the things that happen, and the breaks are going to be there. There's going to be the lunch breaks, and even if it's already aired, we're going to air all of it, because the idea of it is to have the ability to be as if you're in a court day. This is what it looks like. It's not like the movies. There's hearings, there's objections, there's interruptions, there's lunch breaks. Every single one of those is felt, and you feel that when you experience our live broadcast. And the description is, as I said, the reading. It's where you can start your reading process, and you can start your process of going deeper into the channel. But the live trial broadcasts are always going to have the trial background. There's always going to be a trial background report attached, and there's always going to be a breakdown of exactly what coverage you can expect through Justice is a Process. So that is going to be typically the same description is going to be there for every single day. Now, the no breaks edition is where we take that live trial broadcast. If you're someone like myself who is doing a lot of things in the day, you miss certain things. So the no breaks edition came out of how when I was in the workforce, working full time and still wanting to check in on the justice system and the justice process, I would oftentimes be listening at 2 times speed, 1.5 times speed, and then I would run into these breaks. And I'd have to, if I was driving in the car, it might mean I'd have to wait 15 to 20 minutes to either let the brake go through or get to a point where I could pull off the road and move things ahead and figure out where it's at. The no brakes editions takes care of that. What we mean by no brakes is we try to get rid of the sidebar, any type of a long sidebar that doesn't affect the flow of watching. Sometimes sidebars are worth watching. You can see the lawyers gesturing and doing things. But major breaks, lunch breaks, break breaks, where they're just taking comfort breaks. Any type of break or long period of time that gets in the flow of the trial gets removed. Now, the trial itself, the judge coming on the bench, all that stuff still remains. The flow of court remains, but the gaps are out. So instead of having an 8 or 9 hour day, you now have a 4 to 6 hour day that you can put on 1.5 times speed, put on 2 times speed, and get through in an hour, in 3 hours, 2 hours, or you can just watch it as a no brakes edition. In addition to that, we've just recently added and started to curate, and this was at great request from everyone. We've added also a specific no brakes edition description that gets into what happened in the day. It gives you timestamps for witnesses that testified, and it links to the background report on the case and to the website, which we'll get into as well, because that is a connector that is very, very important to experiencing the full justices of process vision. Next, if again, you can experience the live trial broadcast, the no brakes editions, and then you have the trial case story podcast. And what is a case story podcast? Because it might be confusing to some of you. This is what's probably flowing most on YouTube. This is what drives a lot of our views. And what the trial case story podcast is it's an opportunity to essentially tell the case story. And we tell that story in the description. Now, a lot of channels, and when I started, I was putting myself on it. I actually, believe it or not, I got a lot of feedback that said, get off my screen. I want to watch the trial. So the Trial Case Story podcast came out of the idea that I'm going to get out of the way, but I'm going to create a description that, again, I'm an avid writer. I was always an avid writer. I had boxes and books, and that was one of the ways my dad and I bonds is I would write stories and write stories related to the criminal justice system. And that's how I learned a lot about stuff, because I would write the story. My dad and I would go on our excursions. We'd go to seminars. We'd be traveling together, traveling for his cases. And I'd bring my stories along and read it. And he would say, Steve, that's not correct. No, Steve, you have that procedural thing wrong. That's how I learned. And learning, I read, and then I would read, and he would direct me to the law. He gave me his own old law books and say, read this. You want to learn how to do this? You want to learn how to do that? You want to learn how to brief a case? I'll teach you. I learned all of that. I had a full, by the time I was going to college, I had learned a lot about the criminal justice system because of my father and because I just wanted to be a part of it. And I was very interested in it. And at one point wanted to become a lawyer myself, which ultimately is something that changed and diverted due to a lot of the things I saw my father go through. But the Trial Case Story podcast is meant to tell the story of the case, and it tells the story in a couple of places. And there are a couple of things. The most important part you should check out, even if you're not going to check anything out, is go in and check out the description. Because in the description, we have a Watch with Justice section. It's where I've gone through and I've looked at the section, curated it, and I'll describe in segments what's going on in each segment, what things you should know or pay attention to. And that is where you can read and then you can watch. So you may be watching a live trial broadcast and then a no brakes edition, and these are things you might not have seen. And the no brakes edition is going to take you through the witnesses and give you a little bit of information, but each witness is the focus here. So we take that process you see, or that description you see in the no brakes edition, which is a higher level, and now we break it down to the witness. And again, a procedural witness could be more interesting than you ever gave it credit for. It's here that you can learn that. You're going to get a description above the cut of what we call the above the cut description, which gives you a summary of what we think is important about the testimony and what to look for. Then we take you through and show you where those things are. Then, in addition, and again, you'll see there can be some inconsistencies because a lot of this takes a lot of time, but when I try, and it's my goal when I'm taking on a case, to attempt to try to provide a daily analysis piece on the website for each day of a trial, and sometimes there's multiple pieces of analysis for a day of trial. I will link those in there in a section called From the Desk of Justice. It's not in every single one, but when there is one that's relevant, it will show up there. You will also get a link to the website. You will also get a link to the background report in case you want to go in and read the detailed background report. I used to put a little case background in there, but I linked to the background report for the sole purposes is that is a much more detailed description of what happened in the case. And if you click it, it will just take you directly to the case background on our website, which is a safe website. You go to that website and there it is. And you can also then navigate around and find any other information that we've shared on the case, any other analysis that we've shared on the case, etc. But the trial case story podcast takes you through. Now, it's normally a day or two removed. Sometimes if I'm covering multiple cases, like right now, the Folio case isn't completed. There are several other cases that didn't get completed because right now I am truly a very much one-man show besides having some of my family help me out with different things that they can help out with. But because this is a vision running through this head here, it's tough sometimes to be able to have somebody fully come in and help because I need to have the ability to write these things and be involved in all of that process. And I can't offset that to my son or my wife. They can help me with certain things, but that's a little more difficult. So the trial case story podcast is really my narrative on the case. Justice's narrative on the case. It's where you can read, where you can learn, and it's something that the live trial broadcast is always going to be timely. The No Breaks edition will always be timely. This is the editorial piece. This is the piece where I tell you the story of the case. And it's something that also when I go back and approach an older case, if I have time to do that, this is where you want to look towards. So when these come out, even if you've already watched it, go in, read, and get into the story. The comment section is where you're supposed to give me the feedback to that story. If you think my perspective is wrong, tell me about it. If you have a question, tell me about it. Because we'll get to that part where I can come in and address that. But that's where we want to do it. Now, and this is probably the least filled playlist on the channel, is key moments and clips. But the point of this is supposed to be when we're watching a trial, there will be moments I will want to capture. There's also moments that as I'm going through and doing my editorial process, I think, you know what? I know there are people that are not going to want to watch the trial case story podcast. They're not going to have time for No Breaks editions. They're not going to have time for live trial broadcasts. So this is where I want to bring the most important part. It's the highlight reel of the trial. If somebody wants to just get a highlight reel level deal, they can watch this. And the description is not going to be as meaty. It's going to tell you the purpose of what this moment is. It's going to invite you into the ecosystem. It's going to give you the playlist links, the background report, the website. And it's going to invite you to watch a moment of trial that we think is important, that we think is interesting. It's not going to be a procedural moment that we try to highlight here, where it's like, oh, this, where you're learning. No, this is going to be one of those moments where a judge clashes with a prosecutor, an important witness comes on the stand and gives out key evidence for a case that changes the trajectory of the case. That's where these moments will live if you want to go in and see them, and you can go in and check them out. But that's what the key moments and clips. Every case will get these four. When the moment we put content in each one, it'll show up. Now, the final piece is commentary. I will give commentary on the live broadcast. I will pop in. So I will be in and out of those. I haven't done that in a while, but I will do that when I can. And then also I will do news pieces if I'm commentating on something that's in the news, or even on the case that we're having, where you will see I will do a standalone video and I will put it in the trial case story podcast. The way I see it is it's part of the story. And at whatever point I put it in, it'll go between those parts. Now, the other thing I didn't mention is in the trial case story podcast, and this is something I've added recently, so older ones won't have it, but I have started to put part numbers so that it's easier for you to see. Sometimes YouTube will even though I try to keep it in order, sometimes YouTube will get it out of order, and this way you know where it needs to go. So if you're watching and you know you're watching part 4 and the next one's part 6, you can easily go through, 5 is a couple ones, and go watch 5 before you watch 6. So you're watching everything in order. I will put in my commentary where it belongs, at what part. If part 6 came out and I did a commentary piece, and then part 7 comes out, my commentary will be between 6 and 7. And my idea is that if someone were to choose to just binge watch this podcast case story playlist, it'll tell the story of the case, and it'll tell the story in court, in my own words, and in the description and in the coverage that we have on our website. But that's where commentary lives. Now, the layout of the website. So the one thing I do want to do is I want to show you guys the layout of the website so you can better understand how to navigate this thing, because there is a method, as I said, to the madness of justice as a process. When you come on the website, there is a way that you're supposed to, that you can best utilize the site. So let me pull this up and go over this with you guys. Let's see here. All right, so you can see now, we're on the site here, and you can see this is the layout of the site. And the first thing you see when you come in, you're going to see the live streams, that whatever upcoming live streams we have, and you can see exactly when I film this. We've got the ex-cop double fatal crash and the missing wife burn pit trial, days 3 and days 5 of these trials. The live streams will live at the top, okay? And any scheduled live stream will always live there. Next, we have the featured trial. So you will find, I will keep up to the 4 featured trials and rotate them out. So right now, we have the Zachariah Rash trial. I have not added in the ex-cop double fatal crash trial. That needs to get added in. But we have the Rick Chow trial that we just got done covering out in South Carolina, the Tanner Horner case, and the Corey Richens case. And I will try to keep also cases that have great interest or public interest will stay up here as long as, depending on how many trials I'll cover. But I try not to cover more than 4 trials. Really, 2 is my comfort zone, but I'll cover up to 4 at a time, which is why I keep these slots open. So this will eventually, probably later today, I will be changing it up because I need to add the latest trial we just took on, and we took it on in the middle of the case. You may have noticed we had a double session yesterday where we showed days 1 and 2 at the same time. And I will do that simply because I want to get the lives up. I want to be able to get the content into the pipeline so that we can get caught up on the live schedule. And also the no breaks are out this morning, both of them. Now, once you scan down, okay, you get past the featured trials, the next section that you want to pay attention to is our posts. And this is actually where all of our polls live. So a lot of people, I get a lot of feedback at times that people enjoy the polls as we're covering a case. This is where they easily live, and you can find them and go in and look at the polls and find the polls and vote on them. And they're all here as you're scanning through. You can see them. So if you enjoy doing the polls, this is where they live. Come in, check it out. Community posts live there as well. Now, these are what I call the static areas. This is where you can find all of our past coverages, because there's been a lot of people that have said, hey, well, how do I find it every day? If you like the live broadcast, every single live broadcast we've ever done of a trial lives here. Every single No Breaks edition, every single trial case story podcast, every single key clips and segment lives. All 4 of the key podcast of the 4 groups that we have when we cover a case, they get retired to here. So you can go in and see them all here. And this is an example of just how many we've covered over the years, over the last almost going on 3 years now. You can go in. Now, again, I'm going to tell you, they're varying. Again, this is a vision that has been evolving. So you will get to see the evolution of the channel. And feedback is always is always welcomed and will always be taken into account. If there's a way you like, if there's something you want to see, something you want added, another way something else you want covered. The no breaks editions, same thing, trial podcast. But this is where you can find the old content. There's also another place I'm going to show you here in a moment, but that it's not as it's something that isn't going to date you back all the way to the very, very beginning, but it is a place that we're building, and that's on our website, where you can also see cases and things that we followed. But all that's covered. And then we have videos and past live streams. So the videos is where you can go in, and again, you're going to see essentially a more you're going to see things listed by more of our popular members-only videos, the latest videos that we've had, the most popular videos that we've had, that are out, public videos, the most popular. There you can see some of our greatest hits that you can come in and watch and check it out based on popular videos, based on the latest videos. If you want to go see our oldest videos and date it and go all the way back to the beginning, this is where you can see that. And that's the sections of our YouTube channel. So I wanted to lay that out because I know that there's been some confusion when people come to the channel and they go, where can I find your trials? How do I navigate the site? That's how you navigate the site. It is set up basically. Those 4 playlists are with our featured cases, and then the site just becomes those 4, basically a collection of those 4 playlists. So go in and find it. And then we also have, like I said, live streams. All of our lives that we do are all there as well. You can look at all the lives. You can look at all the videos. And we also have quite a few shorts, which you can go to, although I don't have a short section because, again, to keep 4 featured case sections, I had to give up something. So that's how you navigate that. Now, there's one other place that, of course, you want to go to. And again, if you want to get the most out of your experience with justice as a process, then you absolutely want to ensure that that you are going here, and that is our website. So I'm going to show you the website, and here it is. And like I said, it's where you can come and find the latest news that we're covering, the latest post, and kind of review with how this works to get the most out of it. You will see the latest headline, and right now we have the Chow case because it's a verdict is our headline, although that will be rotated out whenever we get something that's consequential. Then you move down and you go this is the latest from the desk. Now this is where I'm doing my daily post. Some of this qualifies to be a headline, some of it doesn't, but it will live here as to see the 10 latest posts from my desk that I put up, and then case coverage. And this is where you can come in and look at all the different cases, and it's growing. Now, I will tell you, because of website management constraints and things of that nature, this list could have cases fall off and become archived, but for right now, we've got plenty of room to put everything up that we need to. But this is all the cases that we cover, and we started our coverage. The website started back at the end of 2025, so you can see where the cases are at. Yes, Justice as a Process has published a book. As I told you, I was a writer. I've always been a writer, and I wrote a story similar to stories I would write for my dad, and I wrote one and put it on Amazon. So if you're interested, you can click the link here and go check out that book on Amazon. Also, if you want to keep, again, this isn't about money. It's never been about money, but there are ways to support the channel, and I prefer to give you a way to support the channel that gives you something back. And joining YouTube membership gets you some things, and we're going to talk about that here of what that gets. And then you've got the Buy Me a Coffee. You can go over there and buy a coffee. And there's a story behind that, which I'll share in a moment. But I'll share it right now. The Buy Me a Coffee comes from my dad when he, at the end of his career, after he was ousted from the justice system. He set up at a coffee shop, a local coffee shop. People would walk in, and it became known that you could find, anytime you had a legal problem, you could literally go to this coffee shop, and Steve Askin would be sitting in there. And his whole thing was, come buy me a coffee and sit down and talk to me, and bring your legal problem with you, and I'll talk to you about it, and we'll just have a talk about it. And I'm not practicing law. I'll talk to you about it. I'll tell you what I would do. I'll direct you to how you can learn. And my dad had a specific way of doing it. Now, ultimately, they came for him. They didn't like him doing this, and he ended up getting prosecuted for practicing law without a license. That's a story that will eventually be told. But Buy Me a Coffee is meant to honor that. So if you enjoy the coverage, if you want to give back, buying me a coffee is a great way to say thank you and to honor my father. And that's why Buy Me a Coffee is there. Of course, so when I found coffee.com, I said that's a great addition to this channel and to the funding mechanism of it. Then you've got some profiles of myself, my dad, and all that. Now, of course, what's important here is to show you how case coverage looks and how it works. And it starts here. So if you click into the case, you're going to immediately be greeted with the background report. And this is linked to every YouTube video that comes out on this case. So you will find it either in the YouTube video or here on the site. And then we have what's called the interactive case notebook. In the interactive case notebook, you can open the case notebook, and if you click this link, click open the case notebook, and you're not a member on YouTube, it will take you to a 404B site, and it'll show nothing. Because what it's linked to is a members only post on YouTube that has the link to the interactive case notebook. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is and what that looks like, because it is probably in my opinion, one of the most valuable pieces you can have, and one way you can really go deep on a case to understand things. And I've put a lot of hard work into trying to put this idea together. It's powered by Notebook LM and Justice AI. Justice AI is something that Notebook LM allows you to essentially influence and create your own AI personality, so to speak. And I've worked with creating that for each case and giving it the fuel and the perspective that it needs. And you can go in and chat with the case and chat with all of our content. And it's really, really cool. And I even go in and chat with my own content just to learn about what we're doing, or ask a question, or just to know what it's like. But when you click on this, okay, and it takes you here. And again, it's a members only tab. You open it up, and then there's a access your notebook. And here we are in the James Burke. Now this is my viewpoint, because this is the host's point. You won't be able to make changes or create the content over in Studio. But if you're a member and you want something done, you want an audio overview on a particular perspective or whatnot, send me your request. I can create it, and it will show up over in the Studio section. You will see these 3 sections. You just will not have the ability to create the content over here. And this is content that is AI created by the Justice AI, created by the sources that you see over here in this area. And it allows for, like I said, a very, very interesting conversation. It allows for you to ask questions, and it allows for you to explore and even debate the channel's perspective. Because whenever I do a piece, whenever I post something to the website, it goes over here in the source section. And that source section is what's fueling here. So this is not something that's searching the internet, although I can add sources to it. This is truly about the research, the perspective, and everything that the channel is using to fuel its side or viewpoint. And it's truly the opportunity to go in, which no other creator that I know of is providing this, that allows you to come in and actually just debate over the AI version of justice, which is me. And that's how I've kind of tried to create it. So you can come in and ask the questions that you need to ask the information, ask about what's in the background reports. Watch, again, and just to give an example here, this is an example.
At 5 o'clock in the morning on September 30th, 2024, a collision in Warren, Michigan generated so much kinetic energy.
So there you have it. That just gives you a little example of the videos. Some of these you will see will appear in my content. Some of these will appear in my commentary. I will use some of these. There, some of what's created. Some of it you will never see because it will live here and only here. I will create for each day of a trial. We will create these very nice. Essentially, it's a very detailed presentation, but it's made for you to be able to. It's almost like a book style presentation that will break down a witness's testimony or an entire day's testimony, and I will create these for the members to have and to look through and to go through. There's quizzes like this quiz right here that you can take, and here it is. According to the Macomb County Sheriff's investigation, what was the approximate peak speed reached by Officer Burke's patrol vehicle? And that would be 117 miles. And it'll tell you and grade you on it. And if there's and then if you want it to be explained, when you click this here, it'll take that question. And this is a great way to learn. Again, my dad, ask questions, read, watch. Also, because all of the content is linked, you can ask it to direct you to the point in the content that it's relying on. So you can say, wait a minute, I didn't see that. Can you give me the link to the video that shows this? And it will give you that. It'll give you it'll link you to the case story video that's going to have this, because that's what gets uploaded into this. And you will be able to then go to that case story, go to that video, go to that timestamp, and locate that moment that it's relying upon. And here you can see that the 117-mile figure is not just a quiz answer. It's the absolute center of gravity in this trial. Let's break down exactly where that number came from and why it matters and how both legal teams are going to use it. And it gives you all of this information on why it's important, and this is the tool. This is the penultimate tool. And for $5 a month, every member gets this. If you are a member on YouTube, every member gets this. And let me tell you, it's being fueled by the most expensive Gemini. It's the only reason why I have Gemini AI, because you can get maximum ability to have everything you need in this, to have up to 500 sources, and all of that's being fueled. So this is something that I feel is extremely important, and I hope now that those of you that sit through this video and understand it now can maybe have a greater appreciation of what you can do. There are occasions, for instance, when we hit 100,000, I will give away the link for a particular case to every subscriber, or it's really a public, but if you're a subscriber, you'll get the notification and you'll get the post, but I'll give it away, and it will also be on the website, and there will be a website banner that will tell you that it's available. But the trial, the website, like I said, is huge. It's a great place to read, to get the news that justice wants to give you, to learn about the case, and then to go the extra mile of diving into the case story itself and the coverage itself and question and interact and take quizzes and learn. This is how you learn. This is how you become a better watcher. And together we can challenge each other, because I don't want you to agree with me. I'm not here for you to tell me I'm the smartest guy in the room, because I'm not. I'm not here for you to tell me I think your perspective is great. No, we don't evolve. My dad used to always say, and my dad and I, my dad and I would get together and we would argue. And people would think, oh my gosh, you guys are arguing. What are you doing? I said, no, what we're doing is we're learning. We're making each other better. And then afterwards, we'd hug, share a meal, share a beverage, enjoy ourselves, and say, hey, Dad, it was a great conversation. We had a great time. And everybody else will be looking around, my wife, my kids, and say, well, you guys look like you guys hated it. No, we didn't. We were just disagreeing, but we were learning through those disagreements. Because when we disagreed, we didn't just say, you don't get to just disagree, but you have to disagree with evidence, with your perspective and with respect for the other person. And sometimes you get a little, I'd get a little juiced up and get a little, my dad would too, and we'd start to, our voices might raise, but we weren't yelling at each other. We were just getting emotional about our perspectives and our points. And that was always the thing. Disagreement is okay. Respectful disagreement is okay. And that's all, and we could live within that. And sometimes we agreed, and those were great moments too. But the point is the point of this site, the point of this project, the point of this YouTube channel is to help you understand better, is to help not the lawyer out there, not the person that's around the justice system, but the average everyday individual who enjoys watching trials, who can understand a little better about what's happening. You could see why a verdict came down, can see why the Chow case went the way it did. Not necessarily agree with it, but see that legally the jury did what it was supposed to do, regardless of public sentiment. And a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with that, but it's truly the correct and legally just verdict. And if you follow the case, if you go into the case notebook, if you dig in and you read our coverage, you will understand too why the laws of South Carolina worked in that case. And while it's not popular, but it's the process, and justice is a process. And it's not about the outcome. It's about a fair process that works, and it worked in that case, regardless of the outcome of the case. And whether people liked the outcome or not, it worked, and the process worked. And for Mr. Chow, he spent 3 years in prison, or 3 years in jail waiting for trial. So he didn't go without punishment either for using his firearm that day. And there's a message sent for that. You use your firearm, yeah, you get to go to court and you get to assert your defenses, but he spent 3 years in jail waiting to do that. And there's a consequence for that. So maybe there is a better way, and there certainly is a better way. And if that firearm never discharges, no one loses their life. So regardless of whether legally it was justified, there were still grave consequences to him, grave consequences to the family to Cyrus and his family, and it just should have never happened. But the reality of the situation is if you have a better understanding of how the justice system works, the laws that are at work, how to apply those things, how to look at due process, because my dad's sole purpose, my sole focus was always on, and that was where he created so many issues, was on the due process rights of his clients. Because that is where it lives and dies. That is where the justice system, that is where justice is a process, truly comes from. It is the process, not the outcome. And it is imperative that due process rights are respected for every defendant, regardless of how bad their crime is, regardless of how evil of a person they are. It matters not. It is what makes our society different than every other country and society in the world. And it is something that we should protect at all costs. And that is what this is about, bringing attention to that, because that was my dad's mission. And you'll learn, like I said, you stick around here, you're going to learn lots more about it. And I'm not rushing it, because you know what? We have a lot of time, and that's the whole point. We have cases to cover. We have my dad's story to cover, and all of it will be covered in due time. Anyways, so one last place I want to take you before we end this. This is hopefully you stick with it, because since it's going to keep playing over and over again, maybe you can't get through the whole video the first pass, but I hope you do, because if you do, you're going to really be able to get so much out of this site and so much out of the project, and I think you'll be happy to have done it. One last place we're going to go, okay, and that is to X, because we have an X site. And the X site, before I got the website and everything, used to be very important, because we used to put a lot of articles up on X, and it was where all my articles live. But here is the X site. If you haven't got over to it, it's at J_I_A_P. Okay, justice is a process, and we are verified. We have put up lots of posts. I think there's 3,814 posts today. Every case that we cover, okay, every case that we cover is going to get a post on X. And I'll just pull up one to show you what it has. And we're evolving our post because we're doing, and again, I'm always evolving. I'm always trying to try new formats. And at one point we were doing, every case story was getting its own thing. Now what I'm doing is every time we finish a day of coverage of a trial, I'm putting a post up that talks about that day. gives you links to all of the coverage that we did, the no breaks editions, the different parts, the full breakdown of the day that's on the website, and anything else, polls or anything else that we think you need to have will show up on X. And it's kind of your guide and links back to YouTube. And you can click on it and get right back into YouTube. You can go over to X and use this as your guide and click into the videos. And I believe it'll pull them up in line, or you can go all the way over to the YouTube site and dig in and start there. But that X is where we put the daily posts on our case coverage. We will also put up posts for individual things or things that you need to know. If there's a live going on or something like that, we will put up things on posts to let you know what's happening. We also have quite a few articles, published articles. You'll see there's a lot of articles, and you'll see when the website began. December 14th, I think our website launched on December 15th, and we were covering the Brian Walsh case, and then everything moved over to the website, all of the daily posts and all of that. But to pull up an example of what a post looked like, it has somewhat of a similar, you'll notice a similar format to what we had on there, because it's pretty much the website but it's over here on X, and it's not organized as well. It's not organized by case, but it's organized in the order of coverage. So if you want to go back and look at old coverage and old posts and old things that, about the case coverage that we were doing, you'll see that these are linked. You'll also see that there are some posts that we moved over to the website that were close in proximity to when the website launched. So this is, again, another layer, another place you can come to get into the justice content, get into the reading. I've gotten a lot of good feedback that people do enjoy the reading, do enjoy getting involved, do enjoy hearing what's going on, do enjoy the takes. So this is a place you can come and see older content. Like I said, all of that is now on the website, and that's where you can go, and it's much better organized, much easier organized. But we still have an X presence. So if you haven't joined X, go over there and follow us. We're trying to grow. We're trying to get bigger over there. Certainly not the presence that we once had on or that we have on YouTube. I think you can see 248 followers, and we're following 218 people. So if you come over and join us, it's great. It's free. It costs nothing. And your support, like I said, is what keeps this thing going and keeps us moving and keeps us going. So that is a little tour of justice as a process. 47 minutes. I'm a wordy guy, and you notice I've never done a live that hasn't gone longer than what I expected, and that's just what it is. I used to do a lot of lives when I was covering the Tyrone Tucker case, and I was doing deep case dives, and I will do that again. Nothing is off the table. It's just how we're doing things has evolved. And I'm putting that energy now into the case stories and into building that story for each case that we take on. But you'll notice I will go long, and I promise you, I have been promising a 100,000, a 100K live for some time now. We're now at like 108,000 subscribers. I'm going to go live and come on, and it's not going to be about a case specifically. It's just going to be to come on and talk to you guys, answer your questions, spend some time watching videos. I used to do that at the beginning of the time. We would just come on and we would react to videos, body cam, trial footage, whatever. And we're going to do that. And my goal at one point was to try to do that a couple times a week, in addition to all the trial coverage we were providing, and life, and just living in general, and my wife specifically pointing out that you've got to do other things besides the YouTube channel. Kind of brought me to reality on that says, okay, I can't just be on YouTube all the time. I've got to take some time and structure my day appropriately. So it's become where it is today. But don't worry, I will be here. You will see me. If there's something, again, it is a goal of mine, and I've already done it one time. I did it in a Chow case. You keep the comments coming. I try to read every comment. I don't always respond to every comment because we get a lot of them going. I'm one individual. I try to do the best I can. But keep the comments coming, because I'm also going to try to do some lives where I come on and I live respond to the comments that are in my comment section. As long as they're appropriate and there's nothing crazy in them, I will respond to good-hearted, good debatable comments that agree with me, I'll compliment, and ones that disagree with me, we'll talk about and discuss as well, because disagreement is where the fun lives. Anyways, with that said, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the tour of Justice as a Process today. Put any questions you have. I will do a follow-up if I need to, with any things you have as far as the coverage map, how to use the site, what you need to do. Hopefully this gives you a better perspective. And until we talk again, guys, until you see me in a live, until you see me in a commentary video, remember, justice always works better when we watch, so please keep watching.